Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rhiannon and today I'm going to be showing you guys all of the books that I either bought or received in January. Now I know that recently I've been saying that I need to cut down on my book buying, and you can tell by the stack that I'm holding in the thumbnail I have quite a few books to talk about now. I have 9 books in total, which is ridiculous, but in my defense one of them should have been in the unboxing that I filmed at the end of 2023, which technically doesn't count as a book that I've bought this month. I have a book that was gifted to me and then I have a bunch of pre-orders that came through, so I feel like without all the pre-orders I didn't do too badly, but it's typical, isn't it, that I'm going into the new year thinking that I am not wanting to buy more books, and then I have 9 here to show you. The first book I'm going to show you guys is one that was actually gifted to me, so it doesn't count as a book that I've bought this month technically. I got it from my head teacher. She knows that I love reading, she knows I love the Traitors, and she was listing this book on her Vinted page. However, I said if you're getting rid of it then I would love to have it and read it and see what I think of this book, and that one is A House in the Sky, a memoir of a kidnapping that changed everything by Amanda Lindhout and Sarah Corbett. Now, as I've just said, I do love The Traitors. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Traitors is a reality TV game show that is so intense, and I've loved both season 1 and 2 of the UK Traitors, and myself and my headmistress have been talking about it quite a lot recently with the release of the 2nd season. She asked me if I had watched the Australian version of The Traitors, to which I said no, and she essentially said that there was a guy on there that was so good, and he was good because he had essentially been trained to withstand interrogation tactics or something like that, and she pointed me towards this book. Now, this isn't the book written by him about his life, because she said that it's almost impossible to get in the UK since it is an Australian book, but she did manage to find this one, which I believe does cover the same kidnapping situation that occurred, and I really thought this would be an extremely interesting read, which is why I did take it off her hands. So the synopsis reads: the inspiring story of a woman who survived kidnap and being held captive for a year in war-torn Somalia. Amanda Lindholt loved to travel. She backpacked around the world, crossing borders, enthralled by what she encountered. This led her to becoming a reporter, working in war-ridden Afghanistan and Iraq. In August 2008, she travelled to Somalia, the most dangerous place on earth. Along a dusty road on her 4th day, she was abducted by a group of masked gunmen. Held hostage for 460 days, Amanda converted to Islam as a way to survive. Moved between a series of derelict houses, she was given wife lessons by one of her captors and kept herself sane by invoking memories of the world she'd experienced before captivity. At her most desperate, she'd visit a house in the sky. High above, the woman kept in chains, in the dark, being tortured. She survived on strategy, fortitude and hope, and risked everything on a daring escape. Vivid and suspenseful, A House in the Sky is the searingly intimate story of an intrepid young woman and her search for compassion in the face of unimaginable adversity. Doesn't that just sound insane, you guys? I feel like this is definitely going to be a very hard-hitting book, and I still haven't watched the Australian Traitors yet, so I don't know who else is involved or anything about the man that she mentioned was involved in this as well somehow, but I will definitely do some more research. This is one that I would like to prioritise pretty soon, and as I mentioned, I feel like it's just going to be a very different book for me, but a very hard-hitting and important one. Next up we have the latest book by Alison Weir, and this one is Henry VIII, The Heart and the Crown. This is the 2nd book in the Tudor Rose series, the first in that series being Elizabeth of York, The Last White Rose, and I did have this one pre-ordered because I love Alison Weir's books. I am making my way through the 6 Tudor Queen series by this author, which I've definitely slowed down with. I was on a roll with them. I got up to book 4 and then for some reason I just haven't read the 5th and 6th books. But for those of you who don't know, Alison Weir is a historian who writes fictionalized accounts of what went on in the Tudor era in this series in particular, but I believe she has branched out into different eras as well, and she just has an amazing knack of making you feel for these characters. I've always been fascinated by the Tudor dynasty. I love learning about this time period, and reading these books just gives you so much more of an insight into what these people were facing during this time, and it's just so effective, and you really do feel for everyone who's involved, because this was a brutal time to be alive, you guys, let me tell you. And from what I can tell by the title and the lovely photo on there, this is going to be following Henry VIII, who was a very ruthless English king. I haven't actually read the first book yet, so I do need to get on this. I am planning on finishing the 6 Tudor Queen books first though, so I do have quite a ways to go before I can pick these up, but I'm really happy to have both of these now. I absolutely love the cover of this newest one. I love the colour on it as well, and I just feel like like I'm going to get so much more out of these books. So I'm extremely happy to have them on my shelves ready for when I want to dive in. The next book I have here is Last Violent Call by Chloe Gong, and this is the book that was missing from my unboxing video. Now, if you haven't watched that, I will have it linked up above and down below, but I ordered a bunch of books from Waterstones after Christmas, and this was meant to be in that order, but it wasn't for some reason. Now, I didn't get any information about it at all, and then one day it rocked up on my doorstep. So I'm very happy that it's here. It's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. This is a book featuring 2 novellas, but I thought it would be a little bit longer. I'm glad I didn't pay full price for this now because I did get it on sale. I believe it is a signed edition though, from what I can remember. Yes, it is. It's signed by Chloe Gong, who I love. And all it says here is, from #1 New York Times bestselling author Chloe Gong come 2 captivating novellas surrounding the events of Foul Lady Fortune and following a familiar cast of characters from These Violent Delights. I have read These Violent Delights. I haven't read Foul Lady Fortune yet, but I have all of the books now in that series. So I'm hoping I can get to it soon, and this will be a nice bridge between both of those series, I believe. So I am glad to have it, though it did take a while to get to me and it is a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. Next up we have another pre-order, which is The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and this was essentially pre-ordered because it was only £8. Now, I tend not to buy thrillers all that often. If I do, I buy the paperbacks because I tend to get rid of them after I've read them if they're not favourites of mine, because the chance of me rereading a thriller is slim once I know the plot twist. But with this being £8, I decided to just grab one. It is also a signed copy as well, and the premise really does sound intriguing to me. The synopsis for this is really small, so I will just read it out. It says, "There were 7 of us in all, trapped on the island. One of us was a murderer. On an idyllic private Greek island, former movie star Lana Farrar, an old friend, invites a select group of us to stay. It's hot, sunny, perfect. A chance to relax and reconnect, and maybe for a few hidden truths to come out. But nothing on this island is quite what it seems. Not Lana, not her guests. Certainly not the murderer, furiously plotting their crime. But who am I? My name is Elliot Chase, and I'm going to tell you a story unlike any you've ever heard." That sounds fantastic. You guys know that I love Greece. I recently went to Kos, which was fantastic. So I feel like having that as the setting for this book is just going to be perfect for me. I'm not sure whether to save it towards summer because, of course, when I think of Greece, I think of the summer holidays that I've been on there. It's just a beautiful, idyllic island, and so maybe it would be better suited for me to read this in the summer. I'm not sure. But this just sounds like the perfect type of book for me to read. It sounds like such a fast-paced, character-driven murder mystery book that I honestly want to dive into right now. Whether that will happen, I'm not too sure, but it is one that I would like to get to, and for £8, I just couldn't refuse. Next up, we have The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose, which is the second book following Molly the Maid, with the first book being The Maid. This is once again a signed edition, and I wasn't actually sure if I was going to buy this book because I did enjoy The Maid. I gave it 3 stars, but it wasn't my favourite murder mystery ever. I thought it to be very simply written, and I guessed what was going on pretty early on in the book. But something drew me to it. It may have been the gorgeous Waterstones exclusive edition of this book that is also signed, of course. But I would like to see if the writing improves in this second book and if the plot is any stronger. Now, I don't actually know what the mystery is in this one. I know that we're still following Molly the Maid as our main character. So let me just read the synopsis. Oh my gosh, you guys, this actually sounds so good. So Molly the Maid works at the Regency Grand Hotel, and that is the setting of the first book as well. And it says here, but the hotel's reputation is sullied when a guest, a famous mystery writer, drops very dead on the tea room floor. As suspicions swirl in the hotel corridors, it's clear there's crime lurking beneath the guilt, and Molly knows that she alone holds the key to the mystery. But unlocking it means thinking about the past, about an ominous old mansion and everything else she's tidied away in her memory, because Molly knew the dead guest once upon a time, and she knows his secrets too. That actually has me a lot more excited to read this book now. I feel like it's a lot shorter than The Maid as well, so maybe that will help with the plot progression and the pacing. So even though I wasn't too sure about this one, I am definitely excited to give it a go. I'm hoping that I like it more than the first book, and I'm looking forward to see how Molly the Maid is doing as well, because I did love following her as a character. I connected to her deeply because in the first book it deals a lot with her grief, and I was going through a very similar thing when I read that. Of course I still am. Grief doesn't just go away, but the way that it was portrayed in that book was something that hit me quite deep, and I could resonate with how Molly was feeling. And so yeah, she does hold a special place in my heart, and now that I have this one, again, I will hopefully be diving into it soon so that I can let you guys know my thoughts on it. Next up, I have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I don't need another edition of this book. I got it when it first came out. I hauled the Waterstones exclusive edition recently. I also have the Bluey Boo cover, and now I have have the gorgeous Waterstones exclusive edition of Fourth Wing with the stenciled edges and the dragons as well. I was late to the hype with this one, guys, and by the time that I decided to buy it, the first print run of these with the dragons on the pages were all sold out. I then tried to get the Fairy Loot editions and I missed out on those, and I just decided, you know what, it's fine, I'll stick with the standard ones, and that's that. But either just before or just after I bought the second book, which is Iron Flame, they announced that they were going to be making this edition to match that exclusive edition, and I had to get it, you guys. It is beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I do have Iron Flame here so I can show you guys the stenciled edges together. How good do they look? I am loving them so much. I'm actually so glad that I did decide to purchase this one because they are beautiful. They are my prized possessions. I don't think I will ever get rid of these, especially because they're some of my favourite books of all time as well, and you'll be happy to know that I am actually going to be filming an unhaul soon, and I will be getting rid of my standard edition and the edition with my Bluey Boo cover as well, which is gorgeous, but I genuinely don't need it, guys, and I don't think I want to be spending money on those covers moving forward because it will mean that I need to buy an extra copy of these books as they come out, and I'm just not in a financially stable enough place to do that. So if you would like a copy of Fourth Wing with the Bluey Boo cover, that will be coming up on my Vinted page soon. I will have that link down below for you guys in case you want to check out my page in the meantime. I do have some books listed on there, but of course once I film my unhaul there will be a lot more coming there as well. So if you're interested in any books that I may be selling, please go ahead and check out my Vinted page. But yeah, I'm very happy to own this one now. It is definitely a prized possession of mine. I'm absolutely obsessed with it, and I'm so happy that it's finally here and that I can put it on my shelves. Right guys, we have made it to the section of the book haul that features books from subscription boxes. You may know what these books are if you've watched my unboxing videos. I have one from Fairy Loot, one from Alumic Crate, but I do also have another Alumic Crate book that is separate from the monthly boxes. So I will of course go into more detail on that one, but the ones I've filmed dedicated unboxings for, I will just show you what they are and move on pretty quickly. The first book I have here is The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers, and this is the stunning Fairy Loot edition. Now I am so sad to say that I recently read this one and I gave it 2 stars. I did not connect to this book at all, you guys. I didn't care about the characters or what was going on, and I was extremely bored throughout. I was really struggling to pick this one up, and I only read it because of Polathon, otherwise I feel like I would have DNF'd it. And I'm so sad because this edition is gorgeous and I want to keep it on my shelves, but honestly this might be one that ends up going on my Vinted page as well, just because I am going to have to unhaul so many books soon and I really don't want to be keeping books that I didn't enjoy. Even though it's a beautiful edition, I don't think I can justify keeping it, which is so sad, but I'd rather it go to someone else who will hopefully love it a lot more than I did and who will treasure it in their collection. It is signed, it does come with an author letter as well, and yeah, I'm really sad to be getting rid of it, but I just really didn't enjoy it. All I'll say about this one is that we follow our main character Violet, and for centuries her family has been plagued by a curse. Now we don't actually know what the curse is for the majority of this book, so I'm not going to spoil it, but essentially for centuries now the members of the Everleigh family have been disappearing because they needed to fulfill their role in the curse, and that is to satiate Penelope, who is a tormentor that never ages, never grows sick, and never forgives a debt. 10 years ago, Violet's mother left to try and break the curse, however she hasn't been seen since, and it's looking now as if Violet will have to fulfill her place in the curse as well. And then it just says here, her hunt leads her into a seductive magical underworld of power-hungry scholars, fickle gods, and monsters bent on revenge, and into the path of Penelope's quiet assistant, Alexander, who she knows cannot be trusted, and yet to whom she finds herself undeniably drawn. Tied to a very literal deadline, Violet will travel to the edges of the world to find her mother and the key to the City of Stardust, where the Everleigh story began. It sounds amazing, it sounded exactly like my type of thing, but unfortunately it was a real letdown for me. I found it to be so boring. Characters moved from one place to the next without much explanation, and I just found it lacking. But it is a fantasy standalone, so if that's your type of thing or you want to get into fantasy, then I would recommend it. But unfortunately for me it just didn't work, and I'm sad to say that I will probably be getting rid of this one. And then moving on to Alumic Crate, I am going to show you the book that was separate from the monthly box first, and that one is the Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake. This is a gorgeous edition, and I had to get this one because I have the first and second books in the Alumic Crate edition, and I would have been gutted to have missed out on this. But it has these beautiful stenciled edges, as you can see there. Blue is my favourite colour, so of course I love this. We also have this foiling embossed onto the book itself. We have character art on the end pages, and it is also signed by the author. Now, I am embarrassed to say that I haven't actually started this series yet. However, I'm the type of person that likes to own all the books in the series before I dive in, because I know that as soon as I start reading it, I need to just power through. Otherwise, I leave it too long between the books and I can't remember what's gone on. So the fact that I have this now is very exciting. I don't know if this is a trilogy or if it's a series, but I'm glad to have this one now. It's going to match the first and second ones, as I mentioned, and this is a series that I'm really hoping I'm going to love, because from the synopsis alone, it definitely sounds like something that would be right up my street. The synopsis of the first book reads: "The Alexandrian Society, caretakers of lost knowledge from the greatest civilizations of antiquity, are the foremost secret society of magical academics in the world. Those who earn a place among the Alexandrians will secure a life of wealth, power, and prestige beyond their wildest dreams. And each decade, only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to be considered for invitation. Enter the latest round of 6, Libby Rose and Nico de Verona, unwilling halves of an unfathomable whole, who exert uncanny control over every element of physicality. Rena Mori, a naturalist who can intuit the language of life itself. Parisa Kamali, a telepath who can traverse the depths of the subconscious, navigating worlds inside the human mind. Callum Nova, an empath easily mistaken for a manipulative illusionist who can influence the intimate workings of a person's inner self. Finally, there is Tristan Kane, who can see through illusions to a new structure of reality, an ability so rare that neither he nor his peers can fully grasp its implications. When the candidates are recruited by the mysterious Atlas Blakely, they are told they will have 1 year to qualify for initiation, during which time they will be permitted preliminary access to the Society's archives and judged based on their contributions to various subjects of impossibility: time and space, luck and thought, life and death. 5, they are told, will be initiated, 1 will be eliminated. The 6 potential initiates will fight to survive the next year of their lives, and if they can prove themselves to be the best among their rivals, most of them will win. Most of them. As I mentioned, that sounds like exactly the type of book that I would love, so I'm really hoping that I do end up enjoying these books. I haven't really looked into any reviews, but I know that the first book was an indie published book, and then it got picked up by a traditional publisher, which is why we now have lovely fancy special editions. So if that's anything to go by, I have high hopes, because it obviously means that the series has a lot of hype and interest surrounding it, and yeah, I'm excited to see what it's all about and how our characters cope. And then the last book I have to show you guys today is the January pick for Alumic Crate, and that book was The Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. This again is a very pretty edition. It's not too dissimilar to the standard edition, but I do love the colour change, and this is another one that I really do hope I love, because it's a murder mystery book set at sea, and that is honestly all I need to know about it. It just says here in the little snippet: 12 magical blessings, 12 days at sea, 1 chance to stop a killer and save the world. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Again, I will have an unboxing video linked up above and down below if you would like to get a more in-depth look at this book and to hear me read out the full synopsis. But this is definitely one that I'm excited to get to. I am hopefully going to read it soon. I was planning on reading it for Polathon, but that unfortunately didn't happen. I do love a fantastical murder mystery though, because it combines 2 of my favourite genres, and the fact that it's set at sea definitely has me intrigued, because it's an isolated setting of course, but I'm also someone who really does love the sea, and so to see it in a book as a setting, I should hopefully really enjoy it, and I am extremely glad that this was a pick for Alumic Crate, because now I have this gorgeous edition. So there we have it guys, these are all of the books that I either bought or received in January. I feel like it's a pretty good stack, and I'm definitely excited to get to all of these books. Please do let me know your spoiler-free thoughts on any of these down below if you have any. I love chatting to you guys about the books that I plan on reading, and if you have a good experience with them, it obviously bumps it up onto my TBR as well. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and leave me a rose emoji in the comments. I've chosen a rose to represent Alison Weir's Henry VIII, the Heart and the Crown. There is a rose on the cover, of course it's the Tudor rose, which I feel like is pretty fitting for this video. So if you don't have anything in particular that you would like to say, but you would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and comment that now. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video, and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it for me today guys. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!